Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this live show, and thank you so much for replay viewers who are watching this live show today as well. So I have a special treat for you guys. Today I have invited a guest over. Her name is Miki Sturges. You might have heard of her name somewhere. Yes, she was on my podcast episode. Oh gosh, I think she was on 37. I should have double checked before I hop on live. This is live, guys. So so she was on a guest, and she had talked a lot about her struggles that she had to go through, and I really appreciate her being really transparent about the story. So I am go ahead and invite Miki right now so that she can join. Hang on one second. I'm doing this all alone. Miki, there you go. Invite. So I just invited her. So hopefully she is going to come join the live show. Oops. Where did it go? Hang on. All right. Okay, come. Just invited. So I'm just waiting. And before we kind of dive into this conversation, I am go ahead and kind of introduce about Miki for a little bit. So her name is Miki Sturges. She is leading the mompreneurs group. So those who are interested in about starting a business, hi Miki, starting a business, definitely she would be the go-to person. She has, do you have 3 kids?
Yes,
boys,
I have
3 boys. Yeah, so she is a mama as well. So I'm just wondering how, you do with being a mom with 3 boys and, the business and all that. But if you were wondering more about what she does, you can definitely check on her episode. Were you on episode 38 or 37 or 6? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I just don't
37.
remember.
I think I should have double checked. I think it was 37. I can confirm in the comment later. But so here's Miki. Thank you so much for joining. Would you like to go ahead and kind of jump in and share who you are a little bit?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Okay, well, my name is Miki Sturges with Mamapreneurs Club. I actually starting to rebrand Mamapreneurs Club. Mm-hmm. Mamapreneurs Club is a community of mom entrepreneurs or mom wannabe entrepreneurs who have been going through some tough circumstances, but to regain confidence, rediscover self-identity and rebuild their life and business. Mm-hmm. So that's the community that I'm trying to build right now.
Wonderful.
Yes. And
that's perfect for you, especially having that. Well, it's not a perfect, obviously, experience, but having that experience, I bet that there are so many women who can relate to what you have to go through and stuff. So,
well, everybody goes through some tough situations, and my situation is a little bit unique because of the domestic violence issues. But because domestic violence issues so hush-hush, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it,
right.
I wanted to gather my courage and share my story so that I can help other people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I am very excited to have you on the live show. This is live, right? So,
yes.
Whatever happens and it will stay. Just an FYI.
Right, exactly. Well, you know what? The reason why I actually reached out to Emiko and I said, I want to share this story about a month ago, I think it was, right? So I didn't tell you this, so I'm going to tell you this now.
Okay, what is this?
So what happened was, so I'm a choir geek. I love singing. Can
you explain a little bit about what choir is, just for audience, if they don't know what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, choir is, when we gather together and sing, choral singing. And so I'm in soprano section, and I got into this local semi-professional choir of God's grace. And I've been singing, but for some reason, I just could not pass this sort of like a wall, I'm not one of those people who has music major. I started learning how to sing when I became well after adulthood. And I just could not get through this barrier, and I could not sustain my breath. And even though in the middle range, I could do it, no problem. But when it gets to a higher range, I just could not. My breath was, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe kind of thing, you know? So my voice teacher has told me, okay, well, you need to expand your lungs, and then I kept practicing. Could not go through that. Well, one day, right before I talked to you, I wasn't, as I usually do, I was in the shower practicing.
Yeah, of course, shower is like a magical place, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So I was practicing in the shower. I could not do it. I was getting so frustrated. As I stepped out and grabbed my towel, something physically happened. I felt a pop, like almost like a pop. You know, like when you have a baby, you know, when your water breaks, it pops.
I was about
right?
to say, yes, that happened to me. Like,
right?
pop.
You can actually hear pop. Right? So it was like that. It was like, what happened? There's something happened to my lung, and I just felt free. So I got out of the shower, I started singing, and I could sustain it. I was like, oh my gosh, there's something happened to my lung. And so, but I couldn't replicate. It wasn't consistent, right? So I went to the next week lesson, and I told this to my voice teacher, and I said, yeah, you know, you have to really open your lungs. And voice lesson is like a life lesson. It's very interesting. What I discovered was, because as I grew up, I was growing up, I was told, Miki, your voice is too high. Stop talking so loud. Your voice is just carry too much. So quiet, you know, don't stick out so much. So what I learned was, I learned to be to stay within this box of my body.
Yeah.
You know, so when I try to sing loud or sing high notes or whatever, my body shrunk. I was like, oh, I'm scared. You know, what if I become too loud? I will be scolded.
Yeah.
So I learned that with my body. I never learned to really let go.
Right.
You know, and it's very interesting. Something physical happens. Your mind and physical is connected, right? So when you're trying to do something in your head, you're trying. I'm doing everything technical, and my voice teacher, he's American, but he's been to Japan, so he speaks a little Japanese. He goes, "You're always chanto."
But I understand what he's trying to say. Yeah.
He says, chanto, I cannot translate into English, but you are always chanto. So I say, yes, I know. I want, you know, I totally get it, because I'm trying to be perfect, right? I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look silly by talking, because I remember my mom sometimes said, you are making full out of yourself. Stop talking. Stop saying things.
Yeah.
That's funny. Or I like to make people laugh.
Right.
So I was doing that, and she's like, oh, you're silly girl, you know? So I learned to like really be proper and that type of thing. And then, so I was so inspired by this whole situation.
With the pop.
With a pop.
Yeah.
And every time I feel like I take my big breath, I feel like I'm really letting myself go instead of keeping yourself within that box.
Right.
So I wanted to share that, you know, in Japanese culture, especially. I don't know about Chinese or Korean other cultures, but in Japanese culture in general, we want to be quiet, right? Because we don't want to bother anybody. And you want to be proper because no man would want you if you are loud. And,
Right.
So those are the things that we've been taught. And so that's what I feel like. That's why I'm here. I'm sorry to say, it's not, I love Japan. Don't get me wrong. I love Japan. I love their culture. I still have my family there, and I love to go back there. But as far as my self-confidence and how I can be free to discuss what I want to, express as far as opinions concerned or whatever, I told you, I shared that with you that in our interview one day, when I was going through a divorce. After a divorce, my friend from Japan said,
I will never forget
back. Don't come back to Japan because nobody would want you. It's like okay,
what?
Fine. But it is true. I think a lot of men are intimidated by people, especially women, who would speak up their what's in the mind. And do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to share that with you, because I felt like I was in this box, Jack in the box. It was like, it's like,
yeah. I think that kizuki moment, the realization is something that you wouldn't get it unless you really step outside of Japan. What do you think? Because thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Because I feel like, I felt the same way in so many different occasions, but I remember the story that you told me reminded me of when I was, I studied even when I was younger. That was just a transitioning from elementary to junior high. So when I was in junior high, I was this very bubbly, active. I would say anything, and I wouldn't say like I was really loud, but in terms of sharing the opinion and all that, I would say things in front of anybody because I had no problem. But then I don't know what happened, but I realized that when I was in junior high, if I make mistakes and if I start crying, it's kind of embarrassing. If I do these things and if somebody sees me and if I didn't do well, then that's very humiliating. So I would better just shut up and be quiet. And that's what I did. So when I was in junior high, I think I had that little bit of a struggle of kind of already changing myself to a different type of person. So yeah, that was very weird. Can you hang on 1 second? Live show. 1 second.
Okay. Since we're waiting for Emiko, I wanted to share this too. I think in Japanese culture, like I was saying, this happens a lot, that women tend to be quiet and just say nothing.
Okay. Hi, live show.
Yes, I know, right? So
yeah, my husband came back just he usually works, but he just came back without
for lunch.
I don't know, but it scared the heck out of me because just all of a sudden the door opened. So I was like, what? Who was that? That's why I got worried and hi, and then it was my husband. I'm like, oh, good.
It happens.
So what were you sharing?
No, what I was sharing was as Japanese women, we learn to really be quiet, and you don't want to be humiliated, and you don't want to be embarrassed. That happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my mother wasn't helping me by saying, don't, make full of yourself,
Yeah.
But really, we are uniquely created. We are individual. We are who we are because that makes the world go around.
Yeah.
But we were never told that.
Right.
Right?
Gosh,
I don't know if you were told that. I was never told that. Be like, I was always told, be like your sister. Because my older sister was this, perfect.
There goes the comparison. Yeah.
Be like your old sister. And I used to tell my mom, said, Mom, how come you gave her a brain and all the talent and the beauty to her and not me? And she was laughing.
That's hard.
But I felt like that because she constantly
and then you
compared.
held that in your heart this whole entire time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm already over 50 years old and I'm still there, right? And so it's ingrained and it's very hard to get out of that.
So yeah, because not everybody will have that pop moment neither. Yeah.
Right.
So with that, considering those are something that's already culturally embedded to us, and this is how we raised, right? And that's how we grew up. We were told that if you are, it's that proverb, what is it? The deta kugi wa utareru, right? If you are the nail sticks out, then you get hammered down.
To be pounded.
Yeah. So that is how we were raised. And obviously, if you are still living in Japan and it's that balance, like obviously you don't want to be that, right? You don't want to hide your true self, but at the same time, you're still balancing out to meet in between, meet in the middle to live within the culture, right? And then versus here in US, you can obviously like let go of that, unleash yourself, and be able to kind of like discover your new true self. So how what kind of like advice do you have for the women in this community and for those who are going to be watching for the replay for this video?
So I have two things before I forget. Okay, so in Japan, I felt like a lot of people are very critical of themselves and others. We need to stop that. We really need to stop. I feel this criticism by people a lot. That makes you feel like, oh, I shouldn't say this because I'm going to be criticized. If I said this, I'm going to be criticized. If I said this, it's all of a sudden you can't
we
talk
just
anymore.
worry about other people. Yeah.
You can't talk anymore because if I say this, I'm going to be criticized. So the second point is, stop doing that. If you're doing it yourself, I sometimes caught myself criticizing other people, like my sisters did, my mother did, I hear this a lot from Japanese people like us. Well, those American people, they don't know this, or they have no sesse, or sesso. They, you know what I mean? They don't have manners. Well, that's a criticism. We need to stop that because there is a cultural difference, and there are people, they might feel the same way about us. And then within Japan too, that if you see the family is different. Before we move on, this is a funny story. So in my family, we eat tempura. The kids eat tempura with mayonnaise.
Wow.
That's how I learned because my adult, like my mom and dad, they ate with mentsuyu.
Right.
But with kids, they gave us mayonnaise. So we ate tempura with mayonnaise. And I've never met anybody who uses mayonnaise for tempura.
Maybe I'm going to try that next time. Maybe it's good.
But I thought because my family, that's what we did. So I thought everybody else did.
Yeah.
So one day I was talking to my friend and I said, here's mayonnaise. They go, what? For what? So I said, for tempura. And he goes, oh my gosh, you use mayonnaise for tempura? I was like, oh. So that's when I realized nobody used mayonnaise for tempura. But that was my family culture.
Yeah, that's your culture.
Yeah. So, everybody has the culture. So that means we need to really respect everybody has the culture.
Yeah, there is no one way to it. There are so many different ways.
Instead of criticizing, that was just a funny example. But, there are stuff that goes on that really hurts you. So same thing with vice versa. Stop criticizing, therefore that you're not criticized, and that's one thing. And also, but when it happens, you just have to tell yourself your value, your worth. You know, you are created being. You are loved. You know, there's even one person, even your mom and dad, that even if they are the only people who love you in the world, there are people who love you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people. You know, I don't know if you've heard, what's the percentage of people who actually come to your funeral and cry that you died?
Geez.
It's very, very small percentage. A lot of people don't even go to your funeral if it rains or snows. So when you think about it, well, who cares?
Yeah, so
Right?
true. I think that's so important. We were worried so much about what other people are thinking or what I would do. And, you know, I think it's so important to really think about, like, you know, like you said, you know, what is my value and what if I do this? How much people that I could maybe inspire or how much people that I can serve or whatever, that impact that we need to be really thinking about, not about the mistakes and all that stuff. So
so you're looking inward. Instead of looking inward, you look outward. You know, that's what I had to work on that because my story to me was embarrassing. I made that mistake of finding someone like that, you know, and I was embarrassed that I didn't tell anybody. I was embarrassed that I caused it. I felt like I caused those bad situations. So I was totally embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah.
So even now, I have to really meditate, you know, say, God wants me to be unique and he created me and I have a worth. And even one person, if I can inspire one person, that's my purpose. You know, I have to really tell myself that it's not looking inside myself. You know, I don't care about what myself, you know, I have to help other people. So we just have to be grounded, I think.
That's true. And then it's also important to remember we don't have to make everybody happy either, because we can't make everyone happy. So just
true.
Yeah, just focus on what is valuable for you, your mission and the passion. And I don't want to be like the woo-woo about it, but I think it's very important to think that way.
It is. Yes, it is. It's not even woo-woo. It's actually
Thank you.
It's the truth. You know, it's like, that's why we're unique. You know, if you don't, there are some people you just don't click. That's okay. You know, the people don't like me. That's okay.
That's fine. Move forward, move on. Yeah, there are so many other people who will believe you and trust you and help you to go through some tough time and stuff.
Yeah,
well, that is just so wonderful. Is there any final words for the community of this woman or other people who might be going through some similar situation like you have?
Well, like I said, you know what? So with my voice lesson, I kept at it. I'm keeping at it. I will never be a Renee Fleming, like opera singer. No, I won't. But, you know, I'm striving, right? I'm striving to improve. And so with the self-confidence, it's the same thing. It's a journey. We just have to keep at it until you have that aha moment and then pop in your body.
Pop moment.
Pop moment. You know, you just have to keep at it. And then if you discover one, awesome, celebrate it. And then keep discovering yourself.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
You know, you just have to remind yourself you're worth it.
Yes. Yeah. So today's lesson is definitely to really remind ourselves that we're really worth it, and then don't just forget about what everybody was saying, right? So I am going to add a post in our community and put a question mark on, okay, so what is your worth, and like what is one thing that you really want to do without worrying about other people?
Good thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. And for those who want to connect with you, what is the best way to connect with you?
You can look for me, Miki Sturges, on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook, so you can send me a message, or you can please come join my Mompreneurs Club group and like my page.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining for all the viewers. I really appreciate it. Do you have any questions?
I see Megumi and Mari.
Yeah, and then I saw there are a couple people who are just kind of hopping on and laugh. So if you don't have any questions, just say hi or give us a thumbs up or hearts. That'll be great. And for those for replay viewers, thank you so much. And, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to message Miki or myself.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.